Right, recording
fine. Thank you. Thank you everyone and welcome to tonight's meeting of the East Grinstead Town Council Planning Committee. I'd like to welcome members of the public that are joining us tonight. I understand that we have 4 of you that have requested to speak. We shall start off with public participation. So if everyone is muted, I will call you if you could unmute, and then you have 2 minutes, and then we'll mute you again the rest of the meeting. Can we start off with Mr. Chris Gregory, please? Could we unmute Mr. Gregory?
Muted.
He will need to unmute himself.
Apologies. I'm a trustee of East Grinstead Sports Club, so I'm here to talk about the sports field and also about the yurt. If I cover the yurt first, the idea of the yurt is to put a protection into the field to allow our forest school that we currently have in situ, called Tree Hoppers, to have somewhere that they can put their children when it really is bad weather. As you can understand, they had a lot of that last year, and we didn't have the yurt, but in fact we did have the sports club, but we cannot always guarantee that. The school itself has 16 children between the ages of 2.5 and 5, and they open 4 days a week. It's basically also, not only is it for somewhere to drive them to go, but it's also going to be a quiet place. And that's where we are with the yurt. When we put in the planning permission for the yurt, we were also informed by the council that we had to change the use of the sports field, or the field that we have, that we're going to put the yurt into. Now, I believe that's come up for a type of change of use because it was agriculture and it was refused. Subsequently, we put in 2,000 trees in the bottom to try and protect it. We are only looking to change half of the field, and the rest is going to stay natural and still be an area in which people can walk and do things. The main user of this field will be the Meads Football Club, which has 350 players, has 24 male men teams and 4 girls teams. It's a membership for all. It's not that you have to be a good footballer, you just actually have to show an aptitude to want to play it. They will play on Saturdays, and it will be finished by 4, as there is no intention whatsoever of lights being put up there. On the Sunday morning, it will be used by the 4 girls teams that we have, and potentially the under 18s, and that will finish by lunchtime. Everybody who becomes a member of the Meads has to sign a code of conduct onto their behaviour, and that applies for players, officials, coaches and the parents. And also, while we were starting to do this, we were informed by the Mid Sussex District Council that have actually done a survey of playing fields inside the area. One of the places that it is very short is in East Grinstead, and one of the key places that they would like us to put pitches in is actually at the East Grinstead Sports Club. Hopefully, I think I've carried it, unless anybody has some questions.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming and giving us some background on that. Thank you very much. Could we now have Mr. Mockford, please, to speak? Mr. Mockford, can you hear us?
Just need to
unmute. Yes, we're okay now.
Oh.
Right, thank you, Chairman. In respect of agenda item 4, I hope to see declarations of interest made regarding agenda item 7. Turning to agenda item 7, I see that you already have an unreasonable recommendation for refusal to be entered to MSDC. As you know, this is a licensing application and is different to a planning application, so that any remaining members in the room will be allowed to make a comment on the application. So I would not like to see you just note it with no comments made from this committee. Checkerbead has undergone many challenges, especially financial, and they have to think outside of the box to try to bring in revenue at this difficult time. I therefore am in full support of this application and request all committee members that they make a comment to MSDC to support this application in full. Should this fail, this could close the doors forever on Checkerbead, which would not only be a disaster for the community, but also for the town councillors who have failed to support the application. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mockford. So we have two people that I understand that wish to speak next. And can we start with Mr. Robert Stateson? I believe you wanted to speak.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm on the call today in regards to planning application reference DM193402 at Overshore Cottage. I'm a resident of the Oaks. My land backs onto the property, Overshore Cottage, and I'm registering my objection to the proposals to build 4 houses in the back garden of the existing Overshore Cottage property. I've written quite a lengthy narrative around my objection, but principally my objection is around the negative impact it will have on at least 5 houses on the Oaks and more houses on Lewis Road that live adjacent. The proposal cites 4 buildings immediately almost adjacent to our boundary. The design access statement quotes 18 metres. The reality is that that's at least or at most 10 to 12 metres because of the single story extensions that each of the properties 9 through to 12 have on the back of their existing properties. And therefore the new buildings will be about 12 metres from our properties. The impact of that is one of daylight and sunlight. There's been no information within the planning application around daylight and sunlight, but particularly in winter months, there will be a very adverse impact on our houses. The documentation submitted is almost silent on the neighbours, which is disappointing. What is clear is that because of the gradient of the land from Overshore Cottage down to the Oaks, there will be a significant and overbearing aspect from our properties. I'm sitting in my my extension. You can see behind me a nice view of trees and sky. That will become a brick wall with windows. The proposals are too overbearing because of the height differential between the properties. They are too close, and as a result, our privacy will be adversely impacted. The planning regulations stipulate impact on neighbours, and in the context of amenity, this will negatively impact the amenity of at least 10 houses on the Oaks and on Lewis Road for the creation of 4, which I feel is unfair. And finally, my response to the planning application, my objection, was centred around the Secretary of State report that was written after the 2015 application for a block of flats. That cited a number of key headings. I've reviewed those headings in the context of this new application, and I failed to see how the new application improves the impact that this proposal will have on the community, and particularly the residents of the Oaks and adjacent properties on Lewis Road. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Staten. And finally, Lorna, I believe you would like to speak as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm also speaking in objection to planning submission DM193402, which is the same one that Rob just spoke about. So in summary, this is an inappropriate development of a residential garden that will cause harm to the local area and severe impact to neighbour amenity. It is a poorly designed garden grab behind a character cottage on the A22 Lewis Road, which tries to cram in as much development as possible between existing homes, but without any consideration of the impact. The proposed new houses will both overlook and be overlooked by neighbouring properties. Access requires the creation of a roadway join directly onto the A22 between Herentine and Woodbury junctions across the well-used pavement and school walking route, and it introduces public access, vehicular traffic and car parking into the private rear gardens of 5 immediate neighbours' homes. The impact on neighbour and existing house amenity. The proposal will severely impact wellbeing and quality of life for existing and future residents, due in particular to the introduction of vehicular traffic to a currently private and quiet sanctuary area, the proximity of the access road to Appledore Cottage and to the new houses in the Oaks, and the impact on outlook and introduction of overlooking to previously private areas. This is a poor design that breaches most clauses of our policy EG3 in our neighbourhood plan and several in policy DP26 of our district plan. This will present exactly as it is: 4 houses and a car park squeezed into a back garden. It has no identity or area focus other than the car park and is disconnected from the wider community. It confuses public and private realms by introducing active road frontage into the privacy of existing homes. The block plan provided by the developer is out of date and is deliberately cut to minimise the impact on the Oaks, as Rob referred to. It also doesn't include the ground floor extensions that Rob referred to. The character of the plot is defined by historical character cottages forming a linear development along the Lewis Road. All plots have long rear gardens, similar to the historic Portlands in the East Grinstead High Street. This proposal breaks the historic linear building line. It doesn't respect the build pattern, and it introduces high density building into an area with semi-rural character. Removing mature screening and not allowing space for replanting will have an urbanising effect on the current character. The road access does not provide prior environment. There are no pavements. It is a location on a key school walking route and a main road. It doesn't conserve or enhance the natural environment. The application documentation deliberately misrepresents the volume and significance of mature planting that will be lost. This is not an appropriate, desirable or sustainable development for this site or for our town. It is in conflict with several planning policies, and I therefore respectfully request that the East Grinstead Town Council Planning Committee recommend refusal of this application.
Thank you, Lorna. Thank you very much for your comment. Thank you everyone that spoke today to give your points. Just sneaked in there, we've got with a minute to go onto item 2, which is receive apologies for absence, please, Assistant Clerk.
We have apologies from Councillor Frank Osborne and Councillor Julie Mockford.
Thank you very much. Item number 3 is receive the minutes of the meeting held on the 22nd of June. This is for accuracy. Before I propose them, I just want to read, because it hasn't been sent out to councillors yet, that there is a small amendment to the minutes from the Welbeck part of that, just to clarify. And the new wording is going to be the project, well, if you agree, the project will deliver far above the Atkins proposal for road improvements on the A22 junctions, and the net result will be reduced travel times. That is to be changed to the project will assist with the delivery of road improvements on the A22 junctions, and the net result will be reduced travel times. It's not a major change, it's just a small wording change. So I'd like to propose those minutes with that change. Could I have a second to that, please? I can't see any hands actually at the moment. My screen's frozen. Okay, thank you.
Councillor de Bell, second.
Yeah, sorry, he's frozen on my screen for some reason. In that case, any other questions at all on that? You may want to put a proper little thumbs up if you do. If not, then can I have a show of hands in support of those, please? Thank you, councillors. Item number 4 is to receive members' declarations of interest, if anyone has any. I I would like to declare 2 tonight, if possible. One is for item 7, the licensing application. As the trustee of Cheshire Mead, I will go to the meeting room on that one. And also on DM20 1848 32 Brook Close. I know the applicant, so I will leave the room on that one as well. Councillor Dooley.
DM20 2153 is my property, so I must declare an interest on that and leave the room.
Thank you. Councillor DeBell?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm a member of Mid Sussex District Council Planning Committee, and I therefore reserve the right to change my opinion if necessary with any further information that comes to light.
Thank you. I'm having a bit of a technical thing where lots of you are freezing, so unless you actually put a hand up, or the clerk or anybody else sees it, are there any other declarations? Councillor John Belsey.
Thank you, Chairman. I just feel I should declare an interest on DM20 1848 as the ward town councillor, in that the land in question is at the change of use to the redundant concrete area is actually Mid Sussex District Council owned land, and I do sit as a cabinet member on Mid Sussex District Council, so I just think it's right that I just highlight that. Thank you.
Thank you. Town Mayor.
Chairman, are we going to declare an interest on DM 2021-53, as we know, Councillor Julie?
I don't believe we need to, unless anyone has actually spoken to him about these plans or visited or had any discussions with that. Could I ask just for clarification on that, Clerk?
I'll just step in on that one. I think we'll take a personal interest of the entire committee. Councillor Julie will be leaving the room for that one, but it would be impossible for the committee to be able to make a response. So it is about the committee being satisfied individually that they have not discussed the application with Councillor Julie and are not coming with a preconceived decision to the predetermined decision to the meeting. So I think we can happy to take a personal, but it would be impossible for you to make a decision as a council otherwise. So we will have to do that.
Could I just add that this is just a resubmission as well, and a slight change to that. So, I mean, I'll be out of the room. I wasn't there originally. This was before I was a councillor. This originally came through.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think that's everyone, I think. Okay, brilliant, thank you. In that case, we'll move on to item 5, Chairman's announcements. 2 very quick announcements. First one is a little bit of housekeeping for Assistant Clerk today. Are we all happy to use the yes and no buttons when voting today, please? It just makes it come up on the screen a bit easier so everyone can see that clearly. Brilliant, thank you. So if we're going to work in that, if you do get stuck, please just say. Hold on. Next one is just to very quickly fill you in that the Article 4 letters that went to Mid Sussex and to MP, we have had replies from both of them. Unfortunately, unsurprisingly, neither of them were the response that we necessarily wanted. Yeah, I'm not surprised, but I'm disappointed that Mid Sussex aren't willing to do anything with it. And unfortunately, our MP referred it back to Mid Sussex rather than doing anything herself. And although he's aware of the situation, doesn't appear to be willing to take it any further at this stage. So it would be nice if maybe that could be progressed in the future. It is a great concern of this committee that we are going to lose our office space to flats with no control at a rate of knots. But I thought I'd let you know they have replied, and yeah, it isn't the best of news. Item number 6, there is a consultation from the University of Kent School of Anthropology and Conservation. A survey has been issued and councillors are asked to reply if they wish to do so. This can be accessed through the link that you have been submitted and circulated on the internal newsletter last week for your attention. So if you could have a look at that and make any responses. If you've got any questions, please do come to myself or the clerk about it. Okay, so item number 7 is the licensing application. So if you could put me in the waiting room, that would be great. And
I apologise, Vice Chair. I was a little bit quick in doing so, but the chair is now yours.
Bless him. We'll get him back and he'll be all right. Ladies and gentlemen, actually, yes, mostly ladies tonight, mostly gentlemen tonight. Can I have your comments, please, on the licensing application for Chequermead? And I would ask that these be captured by our town clerk, or indeed by Harry, as we go along. If I can start, though, there are concerns re the court, the new court behind Chequermead, concerning noise. This has been mentioned by the East Grinstead Society. There are people concerned about noise going from, I believe, Thursday till Sunday each week, but so there have been concerns mentioned on that. Could I have your hands raised if you'd like to make some comment yourselves? I can see Councillor Woodgate.
Thank you. Yeah, I would fully support this. I think it's a good idea. We need to help all businesses at the moment. I appreciate there are concerns from the neighbours, but I do think that we ought to back this. We need to be helping the businesses, and this is a good way to do so. So it has my full support.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I believe that Councillor Odie had his name forward next, please.
Thanks, Vice Chair. Yeah, I just got a couple of questions, but unfortunately I haven't been able to look at the full planning details of it. But are there timings on this one, Vice Chair, in terms of the music being played?
There will be playing music there. It is to do with provision for live and recorded music in the garden.
So is that, I mean, is it licensing law? So can they be going at 2 in the morning or anything like that?
No, well, unless it's restricted, in theory they could, but I don't believe that that is the case. I think it's just going to be for certain time during the daytime.
Okay. I mean, I think it's a fantastic idea. You know, particularly at the moment, the Chequermead have lost a lot of money over the last few months because of the coronavirus, and I think they need to do all they can really to recoup that and get back on track. So yeah, I fully support.
Thank you very much.
Chair, before we go any further, can I just confirm to everybody, just in response to what Councillor Odie said, it's a licensing application, and therefore it's not restricted in the same way a planning application is. So this is the principle of being allowed to play music, the principle of being allowed. The licensing committee at the district council can put restrictions on it, but at this point in time it's a general application. We have one at East Court which allows us to play music, etc., sell alcohol, all of those things which are in our license. So it's down to the district. I hope that helps, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed. That certainly does. I think Councillor Mrs. Belsey would like to speak next.
Thank you. Yes, I think the hours, I think it's a good idea, but it is the hours. So are we saying that once if we agreed here, the committee, then we would have no further input on the timing? That would be up to the licensing committee purely. It wouldn't come back for planning and we could put a restriction on the hours. Once we agree it here, is that the last we have to say, is what I'm saying?
I understand from the town clerk that it would be up to the licensing committee to make that stipulation.
again, Chairman, if you'd just like me to come in on that one, when it goes to the district council, the district will be able to put the specifics with regards to the times that are being allowed for onto any restrictions that they want. At the moment, they were just applied for a general license. So if you have specific comments with regards to suggested hours, then you can submit that at this point in time. It will not come back to you later unless they have a specific put on by the district, which they then ask to vary later. So now is the time. Now is the time.
Absolutely. So having said that, Councillor Mrs. Belsey, would you like to make a comment on that?
Yes, I would like to limit the opening hours into the evening to whatever we agreed on, 11 o'clock or something, so that it wasn't going to go on till 2 a.m. or something. I would prefer it to be 10 or 11 o'clock in view of the neighbouring houses.
Absolutely. Thank you. I think Councillor Dewley wanted to come in and say something.
I think I just wanted to echo Councillor Woodgate and Councillor Odie and Councillor Belsey's comments, really, that I think we really need to get behind this and support the Chequermead. So I think it's a fantastic idea, but I also agree that we need to make comments to be taken into consideration by the district on those hours to support the local neighbours as well, to ensure that it's not going to create disruption and problems for them. But I do think we need to get behind Chequermead, as the councillors have said. They've struggled a little bit, and we really need to ensure that continues. It's a great asset to the town.
For what it's worth, I totally agree. Town Mayor, were you wanting to make a comment? You're having a job unmuting yourself, aren't you? You're muted, Town Mayor. Did you want to make a comment? Okay. Thanks very much indeed. Did anybody else want to come back before we close the debate on that? Councillor Scott.
I would just like to say that I thoroughly support this. I mean, Chequermead has been the hub of the town, and as the coronavirus has had a huge impact on them, and I think we should support them in any way we can. I do agree with Councillor Belsey. I would not like to see this go through to 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, because we need to have a bit of respect for the neighbours. But overall, I would totally be behind this.
Thank you very much indeed. I think at that point then, I think all the comments having been captured to go along with the licensing application, I think I would like to hand back to our chairman.
Sorry, Vice Chair, if I can just be clear then. So you're making a recommendation. Sorry, Harry, can you put Fraser back out again just for a moment, please? Sorry about that. We'll explain to if the committee are making a decision on a comment to send down to the district, we are going to have to propose and second and approve. So you started off with some comment, but really I think we do need to form a firm proposal as to what you want to say.
Understood. Okay, so I believe that Councillor Mrs. Belsey wanted to make a formal proposal on that.
Yes, I'd like to see a limit or up to say 11 p.m. For both the music and the alcohol being limited to those within those hours. I'm not so worried if it starts in the afternoon. It's just the late evening that I'd like it to be limited to 11 p.m. if that's possible, with the agreement of the committee.
Thank you very much indeed. Would somebody like to second that, please? Thank you very much. That's Councillor Woodgate, and can we have a show of hands for that? That's carried. Thank you very much indeed. Now we better let the cat back in.
Oh, I'm back in the room. Okay, thank you. Clark, could I ask you to make me a co-host? Okay, thank you. Right, so we now move on to item number 8, which is protected tree applications. The committee are asked to make comments as deemed appropriate regarding the below. We normally take these on block and refer to the tree officer, unless anyone has anything specific to say. I'm going to share my screen so that we can see those applications on the screen. Hopefully you will see the screen now. Hopefully you can all see the screen okay. So here are the protected tree applications. Has anybody got anything that they wish to add or comment to any of these applications? Okay, so I'm proposing, could I have a second for that, please? Councillor DeBell. And can I show of hands in support referring to the tree officer, please? If we could do it under the little box so we can see, that would be great. Okay. Unfortunately, Town Clerk, when I have it in shared screen mode, I can't see the yeses and nos.
I can. You've got 4 currently. 5 now. 6 now. 7.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Glitches in the technology, it's wonderful. Okay, so that's passed. So we move on to the main part of the evening now, item number 9. We're going to start with DM20 1963. This is 3 Gloucester Close, East Grinstead. This is removal of existing conservatory, addition of new single-storey side extension. This is the property here at the top end of Gloucester Close. Can everyone see the screen okay? Just to confirm they can all see the plans okay? Yeah, cool. And very simple application. They were to remove, as you can see, the conservatory to the side and replace it with an extension with lantern instead. So I think we can probably see the change in the new sunroom versus the conservatory, slightly different location. You can see the outline of the original conservatory there. So this is Herentide. So Councillor Odie, would you like to start it off, please?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I don't have any problem with this. I would vote for approval.
Can I have a second for that, please? Councillor Favor, thank you. Any other comments at all from committee on this? Councillor Scott, is that you making a comment? Or
No.
Sorry, you've frozen. Okay, in that case, could I have a show of hands in support of that approval, please?
+3 on the button, Chair.
I can't actually raise my hand while sharing the screen, so I'm going to have to physically wave at you.
I can see it. That's fine. That's been carried.
Thank you very much. Thank you, committee. Okay. The next 2, we'll have to take 2 separate votes, but I will discuss them as one application. This is DM 20 1967. Well, actually, sorry, I seem to have missed one out here. This is not good, is it?
No, Chairman, 1967 is an LDC.
LDC, that's why I missed it out. LDC, so can we please note that?
Noted.
Noted.
Thank you. The next 2 are the ones that we will take together, which is DM 20 1600 and DM 20 1604. This is the listed building consent and the application for the cottage, 11B High Street. This is demolition of existing rear single-storey extension and replacement with new dual-pitch roof extension, including a roof light with internal alterations. So I don't know how many of you are aware where this actually is. This is on the back of Emma Louise. Little cottage attached to the back of that. It is a separate dwelling. and this is to remove this current, using nice little 3D renders here, to remove the current extension and replace it with a new extension glazed windows into the little courtyard. Just giving a bit more room, I guess, inside or usable space. So this is Town Ward. So who would like to start me on this one? Councillor Woodgate, would you like to go first?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I appreciate this is in a conservation area, but it is tucked around the back and not visible from the road or footpath, as you quite rightly pointed out. Hardly anybody knows it's there. So I think it's a great use of space for the household. It takes quite a fragmented layout, makes it a lot better for them. So I'd like to push this for approval, but I would like to get a comments from the conservation officer, just to make sure there isn't any issues from his point of view, please.
Okay, thank you. Could I have a second for that, please? Councillor Favor, thank you. I can see hands up from Councillor Odie and Councillor Mrs. Belzy. So, Mrs. Belzy, would you like to talk on this?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. Can I just go back? Is this the adjacent to the site where we approved a very modern building? Is that being built, or is
yes.
that?
I don't know its status of being built, but it is exactly that site. Yes, next to that.
Okay, and so it's okay to have them. They look as though they would be very close when that extra building is in place. Would that be contravening anyone's right or privacy when that building that we've already approved is in place? That's what I was just concerned about.
Okay, So I do know this site fairly well. I knew the previous owners of the house, and the lean-to building that they're removing is a very small kitchen with a very funny roof and doesn't really do anything. I can see why they want to put in this. It's not very big at all. The 3D render show it being quite big. The site is tiny. It is really, really tiny. I don't think it's going to have any effect on that. There's a very high wall in between. This is only single story. I don't think it'll have any effect on the one being built, or the one being built will have any negative effect on that. If I'm really honest, it's such a small site. This is such a small extension.
It doesn't show on the plan, so I just wanted to be sure.
This this wall here in front of it is the courtyard where the other one will be.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was why I was just checking.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point, but it's such a small site.
Okay, fine. I'll take the word.
Brilliant. Councillor Odie.
Thanks, Chair. Actually, it was a similar question to what Councillor Mrs. Belzy was going to ask, so I'm had my question answered.
Brilliant, thank you. Councillor de Bell.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm broadly in favour of this, but I would like to see what the Conservation Officer has to say because of the new rulings to do with the conservation area. So I would, as the East Grinstead Society say, make it subject to what the Conservation Officer says, which no doubt Mid Sussex will do. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it is an interesting point to note, just to reassure the committee that the extension that is coming down is not an original part of the building. The original cottage is old, but this bit is I'm not 100% sure worth serving. In that case, can I have a show of hands for supporting this application, please? Thank you. Harry, is that?
That's carried.
Okay, thank you very much. And can I have another show of hands, please, for the same application, but for the listed building application, please? We could all do it again.
And that's been carried as well.
Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you, committee. Right, let's move on to the next one, which is DM20 1735. This is 2 Crossways Avenue. This is 2-storey side extension and ground floor front extension. So this property here is right on the corner of Crossways. It's Chapman's Lane there. This is the property. And I think anyone that's been on this committee long enough will recognise this style of extension on these Imblehorn houses, where we can see the infill squaring off at the side and adjustments to the back, the same, wrapping around something around to the front, which you can see in the block plan here going into the corner. So this is Imblehorn, so as it's just me for Imblehorn tonight, I'll lead. I personally have no problem with this development at all. It's a corner plot. It goes right into the corner. It's a big plot, and it's a very common extension that we've seen all over the estate, and actually makes those houses much better living in them with the roofs slanting through the rooms. So I am happy to support this application and would approve it. So could I have a second for that, please? Thank you very much. I think it was Councillor Odie was up there first, I think. There. Any questions on this application or further comment? No? Okay. Could I have a show of hands in support of it, please?
That's been carried.
Thank you very much. Okay. I just wanted to check very quickly, Clock, because I can't see the hands being raised, and it's either to Harry or to the Clock. Are anyone abstaining or voting against? Could you let me know as well, please, just so we can have that recorded?
Chairman, just to remind you that we do not record abstentions or votes against. It is a majority carry. So
on the majority, okay.
Clerk will be looking for is have the majority of hands been raised, and if they have, he'll be saying carried.
Perfect. Just want to make sure you're happy with that. Okay, so we're going to move on to DM20 2021. This is Little Fair Care Home, Warburton Close. This is proposed single-storey extension to form a new entrance porch with glazed entrance and windows, new parking arrangements to the site. So for those of you who know, this is next to Sackville, just by the subway here. The subway's down here. Warburton going around to Lower Dean. Here's the care home here. And the proposals are predominantly the new front to it, a new glazed porch, but there are also changes to the car parking, which I thought I'd put in, but clearly not, which is a new gate up on the edge of the boundary where this red line is here. So this is town. So Councillor Scott, would you like to start me on this one?
So I would. Looking at this, I would totally, wholeheartedly support this. It is a care home. I think the porch is very attractive. And no, I'll give that 100% support.
Thank you. Can I have a second for that, please? Councillor Woodgate, thank you. Any comments or questions on this, please? Councillor Woodgate, would you like to come in?
Thank you. Yeah, I would like ideally to see a caveat in there about the flooring, about the asphalt, to make sure that there is enough drainage supplied, because that is quite a runoff down the hill, and obviously Escots is behind that, and they are taking away a grassed and floor embankment, which to put car parking spaces, which is great because it gets more cars off the road. The access gate isn't the problem. I'd just like to see to make sure that the drainage water has somewhere to go rather than just running off down into Escots' field.
Thank you. So a permeable surface.
Yes, please. Yeah, the right word there, Chair.
Any other questions on this application at all? In that case, could I have a show of hands in support, please, committee?
Been carried.
Thank you. Okay. So let's move on to the next application, which is DM 2020-2024. This is BT Telephone Exchange, Maypole Road. This is remove 2 glass panes from window on the southeast elevation and replace with aluminium louver and fit window frame. So this is the telephone exchange here. This landmark building, I think we'll say, on Maypole Road. And this is to change some of the windows at the top. I put in here the design and access statement. I don't know how many of you have read it, but there's some interesting bits in there that this will not massively affect the overall appearance, and it's some of the reasons why they're doing it as well. So this is Imberhorn. So again, it's me. There is very little change to the actual look of the building, and it's not a building of great architectural merit, and this is to facilitate some of the changes to the digital network of BT and the way they're using the building. So I've got absolutely no problem with this at all, so I would support approval. If I could have a second for that. Thank you. Any questions on this one at all? Can I then have a show of hands in support, please?
That's been carried.
Thank you, Harry. Next application tonight is DM 20-2107. This is 18 Ashurst Way. This is an LDC, so please can you note this, committee?
Noted.
Noted.
Thank you. And next application, could I ask that we remove Councillor Dooley to the waiting room, please? Thank you. So this is DM 20-2153. This is 3 Oakhurst Gardens. This is proposed single-storey side and rear extensions with internal alterations. These are amended from planning approval DM 18-5085. So we have seen this before from the longer members of the committee. So this is the location plan and shows the new extension where it's proposed on the side. This shows the current property, and this shows the current and the proposed extension with new rear doors, slight changes to the roof line. This is Imhun, so it's me again. So this is just a subtle amendment to the original plans, but Mid Sussex have deemed it enough to put them back through the application process again rather than being a material amendment. It's smaller than it was before, so I have absolutely no problem in approving it the same as we did before Councillor Dooley became a councillor. It's a downgrade from what it was originally, so I will support approval. Could I have a second for that, please? Thank you. Councillor Woodgate. Any other comments on this at all? Councillor Mrs. Belsey.
Can I just check, were there any objections to this alteration? Or?
No, I don't believe there were. No.
There wasn't any.
Fine, thank you.
No. And there was a comment from the Educated Society but that comment really is irrelevant, as the window that they're concerned about was in the original application that's been passed. So in that case, could I have a show of hands in support, please? Good.
That's being carried.
Thank you very much, Assistant Clerk. Could I please bring Councillor Dooley back in?
It's been done.
Okay, is he back? Yes. Okay, so we're going to go to DM20. We're going to hop across to Herentide for DM20 1647. This is a change of use for East Grinstead Sports Club, St Hill Road. Change of use from agricultural to sports field with the erection of a yurt. Obviously, we heard about this from the member of the public earlier. This shows some of the land here, the netball courts, the mini football courts, full-size pitch. This half of the field is to be a nature reserve, and the proposed yurt tucked away down in the corner, again showing the field difference and the yurt here. So this is Herentide. So Councillor Odie, would you like to start us off, please?
Thanks. Thank you, Chair. Yes, just sort of going over, not without going over, rather, what has already been said. I actually think that the yurt is would be a great addition for the play school. Personally, I think it would just mean so much better conditions for the children, and also as a town, I think we are lacking in sports pitches, and I like the idea of what they're doing. I like the Meads Football Club's philosophy and their values. And my only question is really in terms of the area of outstanding natural beauty and the complications that it might have in that. However, having said that, I do know that they have planted a lot of trees, and actually having driven down on the Turners Hill Road, that top part of the field is quite well hidden from that road as well. I'm not too worried about the traffic either, and also they do use those facilities 28 times a year already. So I think on the balance of things, I think this is a good thing for the town and the community, and I would vote for approval.
Thank you. Could I have a second, please? Thank you. Councillor Woodgate, did you want to speak, or was that a second? Sorry. Councillor Mrs. Belsey, would you like to come in?
Am I speaking or am I seconding?
Do you want to speak, you can.
I wanted to speak.
Yes, please.
When original planning was put in for those top fields, there was a lot of concern on the lighting. So it is to hear at this time there weren't any prospect of using floodlights. So on the basis of that, I think it's a great application on the basis that they don't intend to delay to us and therefore produce floodlighting. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor John Belsey.
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to echo, I was happy to second, but I also wanted to echo Councillor Odie's comments. At last week in Mid Sussex, they brought forward the playing pitch strategy to the scrutiny committee, and it does show that we have got a deficit of football pitches in the north of the district, and I would far rather the football pitches be added to a place which has already got existing infrastructure like parking, etc., than creation of a new place with all the infrastructure like floodlights and parking that entails. And so I'm very happy to support this application, AONB notwithstanding due to the other efforts that they have made to preserve the rest of the field, etc. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I would echo those comments. I think in this time, it's great that we can have more outside activities. I think for the yurt, it's a fantastic thing for the children. I think that forest school outside element is just brilliant for them. So, and getting more playing fields that we need. I echo everything that the committee said so far, so I would fully support it. In that case, could I have a show of hands in support, please, committee?
Carried.
Thank you. I think we'll just skip over the next one, really. Just, you know. Okay. No one's that interested in this one. So this is DM19 3402. This is land to the rear of Overshore Cottage, Lewis Road, East Grinstead. This is erection of 3 semi-detached dwellings with associated parking and access from Lewis Road. Tree report submitted on the 19th of June and drainage information submitted on the 25th of June. I'm sure many of the committee are aware of this application already. For those that aren't, I'll just scoot you through some of the pictures quickly. This is the current property and layout, the road, and if it will let me load up, here is the proposed change with the new access road out into Lewis Road here. The parking, you can see the properties behind, and design and floor plans of the proposed new properties. So this is Worsted. So Councillor Belzy, would you like to please start us off?
Thank you, Chairman. I have got a few comments to make. Should I just propose rejection of the application and then ask for a second, or do you want me to speak fully now?
You can speak fully now, ending in your proposal.
Okay, thank you very much, Chairman. So firstly, I'd like to thank Lorna and Rob for speaking on the application earlier tonight. I'd also like to thank all the other residents who are joining us on Zoom. I think it really does bring home how the recommendations that we make have the ability to impact people in our community's lives, either for the better or sometimes for the worse. And to my mind, this is definitely a case of the latter. As some members may remember, the site previously came forward for 10 flats as application DM 151064. That put the flats over the enlarged property with all the parking in the back garden. This application, as you've seen, preserves the existing house, but puts 4 houses and all the parking in the existing back garden. The previous application was turned down, and I'm quoting the delegated notice from the MSDC officer, on grounds of design and impact on character of locality, on highways and parking issues, and on the impact on existing neighbours in terms of residential amenity. The conclusion was that although the development provided some housing locally, the proposal harmed the character of the area and had such a significant impact on residential amenities and gave rise to highway safety issues, with those adverse impacts demonstratively and significantly outweigh the benefits of the scheme. I would argue that although I didn't think this application could be worse than the previous one, it actually is. Previously, the officer felt a drive and car park to the rear of the building would give rise to unnecessary levels of noise and disturbance to adjacent neighbouring properties, which would result from the vehicles manoeuvring in what is currently a pleasant, tranquil rear garden. In addition, the properties in the Oaks would suffer from car headlights shining into their upper floor windows. This time, the parking is right on the very edge of the boundary, as that picture showed, and that's much nearer than it was before. The lights would still shine on either the new built houses or between the houses into the Oaks, and it's completely unacceptable that the road is so close to the edge of the boundary, less than a metre from the boundary, and therefore less than 2 metres from the existing neighbours. Now, I know no one can expect no change when they buy a house, but I think you can expect in a well-established residential area that you don't expect to have your next-door neighbour's back garden, where there is already very little screening, to be turned into a car park right next to your own property. Additionally, and this was not the case before, the new properties are very close to the Oaks back gardens, as you heard from Rob earlier, and there is the potential for significant loss of privacy on all sides, either side of Lewis Road and also in the Oaks, as well as the potential for loss of daylight and sunlight. There is a height difference from the road down to the houses, and privacy will be significantly affected. 4 houses with cars in and out will add to the noise disturbance in people's gardens, even with the opening and closing of doors, which was highlighted in a previous objection from the Mid-Sussex officer. And this will result in further significant detrimental impact on adjacent residential amenity from a noise perspective, as well as from the visual perspective. And these are clearly breaches of DP 26 and DP 29. As before, there are significant highway safety issues, bringing additional traffic concerns with the junction between Sackville School and Woodbury Avenue. Whilst the applicant has tried to address this with putting a larger raised area at the top of the Lewis Road turning, this has actually resulted in a more severe impact on the gradient, adding to the unneighbourliness of the proposal with the raised elevation. I'm not clear on the intention of the applicant, but to my mind, in 2020, with 4 houses and a road, you would expect to be able to have appropriate emergency access, amenities to be collected, and to create a road with safe access for pedestrians, cyclists, and motor vehicles, not an unsafe narrow drive that is very steep and is not fit for purpose. Accordingly, I am concerned about the access road itself, as well as the creation of an extra junction on a busy road and pedestrian route. Last time, the Highways Authority was concerned regarding the steepness of the gradient and said it was likely much steeper than shown. They were concerned about vehicles sliding back and the vehicles blocking the footpath, also about the acceleration of the vehicles to get up the slope. They were concerned how vehicles will turn, including delivery and emergency vehicles. And I contend that all of those concerns still hold in this application. The raised area does nothing to help the gradient, or indeed the potential to block the road out to Woodbury Avenue. And it will be very important that we obtain Highways comments on this issue as previously. We also heard from Lorna how the proposal does not respect character of the street, which is an important entrance into East Grinstead. These are historic character cottages with long rear gardens, but not that long that they should have houses in their back gardens, I should add. And this road and ramp will significantly and detrimentally break up the linear development and disturb the existing sense of place of these houses. All the above are against most clauses of EG3 in our neighbourhood plan and several clauses in policy DP 26, in that it creates very little green space and removes a lot of it. It's very hard to see many trees on the boundary, including very substantial ones surviving. Has no active building frontage facing streets or public open space. Does nothing to create a sense of place, but adversely impacts on everyone else's. Does not protect open spaces, trees and gardens that certainly contribute to the character of the area in that part of Worstead. Does not protect our valued townscape and instead disrupts it. Causes severe harm to the amenities of existing nearby residents regarding privacy, outlook, noise and light, and does not create a pedestrian-friendly layout that is safe, well-connected and accessible. Aside from DP 26 and the points already made, I continue to have concerns regarding the loss of ecology and biodiversity given the likely impact of trees and flora. I'm also concerned about the design of the houses and room sizes and would like those to be confirmed as acceptable by planning officers. I believe that all the aforementioned grounds are valid, and this ties in well to the previous recommendation from Mid-Sussex officers on that site, which was for rejection. Accordingly, we should reject this application for all of the reasons set out just now in relation to DP 26 and DP 29, where there is a severe detrimental impact to residential amenity for many residents, visually and through noise. Additionally, over concerns regarding the road itself being unsafe and causing an unwelcome and unsafe junction with the A22, a very well-used car and pedestrian route, and over concerns that the natural environment is not being appropriately conserved and subject to any other comments from appropriate stakeholders over design and room size standards. And for those reasons, I'm proposing rejection of the application.
Thank you. Could I have a second for that, please? So Councillor DeBell, thank you both with a hand up. I know quite a few of you want to speak on this, so we're going to go Councillor DeBell, Councillor Odie, and then Councillor Woodgate.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I thought that Councillor Belsey was very lucid and very factual in planning matters with regard to why we should reject this. I think it's a very bad plan. And as he says, it's even worse than the one where they wanted to put flats on before. But I also wanted to commend our speaker, Lorna Webb, tonight for the very lucid, cogent and well-reasoned on planning grounds why this should be rejected. And I would urge her to make sure that Mid Sussex have a copy of her comments, as I'm sure that Councillor Belsey will his. This is a bad plan for a bad development in the wrong area, and I hope that this is possibly the last time. I hope this is the last time we see such a bad plan for this particular development to take place. Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you. We'll go Councillor Odey, Councillor Woodgate, Councillor Scott.
Thanks, Chair. Yes, just to sort of reiterate what Councillor Belsey was saying, it was a very, very good précis of the situation and all of the material considerations as well. I just wanted to sort of put it on record that really, as a planning committee, we do recognise that we need development in the town to progress, but but not at any price. And I really feel that we'd be paying a heavy price if this went through, and all for the reasons that John has mentioned. That I'll be supporting his proposal for rejection. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Woodgate, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'd like to say how well everybody's done on their part on speaking. I think everybody put it across very well. I actually walk past this house when I take my kids to school, and the footpath is not particularly wide at that point anyway, and the access and egress into that drive on its own is difficult enough. If you've got 4 houses, and I don't believe there's enough car parking shown. You've got 8 houses, 7 car parking spaces. You're going to have a minimum, probably two cars per household. So there's not going to be enough parking. At a busy time when you're trying to get the kids to school and stuff, cars coming out of there, they're going to have to approach and come up onto the main road. It's going to be a nightmare. Also, when they put the bins out, currently that one house puts a bin out the front. It's not a problem. You imagine 5 bins out the front there. It's going to create all kinds of obstacles. Then you've got to try and get a car out of that parking out of there as well. I'm also very concerned about how you get a fire engine down there if one of those houses caught fire, because it's a very steep slope. It's going to probably bottom out, and then how the hell does it get back out again? Because there's no way around for it to turn around. Also, the slope in the winter would be, I believe it's 1 in 6. Which is ridiculous. And then if you are in the winter, if I lived at that first house, I'll be putting a crash barrier out the front, because those cars are going to get hit. So I fully support the rejection of this and think that this is far too overbearing for that plot. But I do believe, as Steve Odey, Councillor Odey said, we do need to support building in the area, just the right properties in the right area, and these aren't the right properties or in the right area. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Scott.
I would totally not support this. I think it's absolutely totally wrong. It's inconsiderate of other people. All the comments made tonight I totally endorse. That slope and the entrance, amenities going in and out, it is just totally overdevelopment, and I would 100% go against this wholeheartedly.
Thank you very much. Thank you, committee, for your comments. Thank you, Councillor Belsey, for your very thorough proposal there, and thank you to those of the public that did speak on this. I know how difficult it can be to come on and do that. I'm also very proud, actually, that my committee are making comments that I'm very grateful, which is this committee strongly stands behind the fact that we know we need to develop, but we're going to do the right sort of development, and I feel this is not the right sort of development. So again, I'm in support of the proposal. I think we probably have done quite a lot on this now, so could I take a show of hands to support the proposal for rejection, please?
That has been carried as recommended refusal.
Thank you very much, Assistant Clerk. Let's hope that we don't see that one again, but I fear we may. Right, the next one is DM 20-1848. This is 32 Brook Close. Change of use from redundant concrete area to residential garden in conjunction with 32 Brook Close. I need to be put in the waiting room for this one, please. Over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. This is 32 Brook Close. Where are we? We okay? 32
I'm still here. I need to be knocked out.
Hang on.
There we go. This is 32 Brook Close, East Grinstead, West Sussex. It's change of use from a redundant concrete area to residential garden in conjunction with 32 Brook Close. The plan is to convert this into a garden. Can we roll this down, Eric? Can you do it for me, mate? Bless you.
Of course.
You going?
Ooh. Seem to have a frozen screen.
How's that? No?
Coming.
You going? Bit further. You going? Further down, mate.
Further down.
Yeah. Keep going down till I tell you. That's the bit. Actually, whoa, that's it.
Sorry, my screen is frozen.
Okay, mate. Sorry. This is a slab of concrete basically between. Whoops. Where have you gone? I've disappeared for a second there. Sorry, guys. This is basically a slab of concrete in between two houses. But what they're talking about is converting this into a garden with a pathway across it. And I understand it's actually been purchased from Mid Sussex District Council for that purpose. So the people from 32 will still be able to go there, but it will be a garden for 32 Brook Close. There have been 3 members of the public and East Grinstead Society who are concerned about this for various reasons, and there is apparently some confusion as to the actual ownership of this particular piece of ground, which will need sorting out. So this is Worsted. Would Councillor Belsey like to take this and bring something forward for us?
Thank you, Vice Chair. As you could tell from that, it's not a run-of-the-mill application, and that concrete piece is actually by Mid Sussex District Council. The resident at number 32 Brook Close, and I thank him for attending the meeting this evening, had intended on purchasing the land from the council, and there is a due process to be followed, which the resident did everything he could to ensure that the process was followed, and Mid Sussex equally have been doing the same. However, my understanding is that this afternoon, I think Mid Sussex are unable to process the sale at this time. And I know the resident received email notification of that just this afternoon. So the land remains owned by Mid Sussex. I know a number of the residents, as you say, Councillor Bell suggested that they've had other things on their title deed, that it might be a play area and all sorts. I think there's a little bit more work required to be done by Mid Sussex just to clarify the process, and potentially should it go ahead in the future, to notify other residents in a way that allows them to take part in the process as well. I've got no objection to this redundant space, which is clearly not used as a, is not right for play area as it currently looks. I've got no objection should it become a residential part of a garden, or indeed gardens at some point. But I don't see, given that the purchase is not going ahead at the time, that we need to commit to the change of use now. And so my inclination would be that, given there's no actual transaction contemplated, that we keep the powder dry and leave things as they are and allow process and other developments in the future, and then we could consider it then. So my proposal is no comment from myself.
I would be very happy to put that proposal forward. I think there is work that needs to be done, and therefore I think it should be referred back for that work to be done before a decision is made. So I'll make that proposal. Would somebody like to second that proposal for me, please? That's been seconded by Councillor Woodgate. And would anybody else like to speak on this one? Councillor Odey.
Thanks, Vice Chair. So, sorry, I'm confused. Are we proposing rejection of this current state?
We are indeed. We're proposing that work still needs to be done before we can actually consider it, because there is doubt as to who it belongs to.
That's fine. That's what I thought, and I agree with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I can't see anybody else wanting to speak, and therefore I'm going to ask for a show of hands on that proposal.
That's been carried. Recommended refusal.
Thanks, Harry. Can you let
Sure.
Thank you. That all went okay. Could you make me a co? Oh, you have done. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again with you. So next one we've got is DM 202134. This is 31 Gardenwood Road. This is single-storey rear and part side extension. This is amended plan showing roof lantern on front and side elevation received on the 30th of the 6th. So hopefully you can all see the screen okay. Now I'm back in. I can see you all. Councillor Mrs. Belsley had her hand up. She's left. Okay. So this is Imberhorn, so I will start this off. So this is, I haven't got a photo of this one, unfortunately, committee, sorry, but this is the current building. The plan above is interesting because it shows where the garage is and how it takes the whole width of the site. Basically, it's knocking down the garage and the conservatory, building a large dining area and extending a bedroom to the rear. And this is the new proposed look. And slight changes to the front. So I personally have no problem with this at all. I don't think it changes the front that much. And to the rear, it just tidies up the garage anyway, so it doesn't really affect it. There's no windows that side. I think it will be an attractive addition to this bungalow. So I will move to recommend approval. Could I have a second for that, please? Thank you, Councillor Odey. Any questions on this at all? No, in that case, can I have a show of hands in support then, please?
That's been carried.
Thank you. Next one is DM 2175, Florian Farm, Hophurst Hill, Crawley Down. This is LDC for noting, please, committee.
Noted.
Noted.
Thank you. Next one is DM 202191. This is a variation of condition on 198 Holteye Road. This is variation of condition number 2 of application DM 195124 to replace the approved plans allowing for changes to the front elevation. Main difference, as I see it, is to do with this dormer window at the top that's going to be potentially sitting in there. This is Applicat, so Councillor Bell, would you like to start us off?
Happy to, Chairman. I think it's a lovely design. I think they've done very well with what they're doing on this. I think that everything that they've done so far is moving in the direction of making this a very attractive property, and I would support approval.
Thank you. I have a second for that, Councillor Favor. Any other, Councillor Favor, would you like to speak on that as well, would you? Councillor Belsey, Mrs. Belsey then, please.
No, I was just offering to be a seconder. That was all.
Oh, okay.
I think it's excellent, but if we already got a seconder, that's fine.
Perfect, thank you very much. Councillor O'D, you wanted to speak?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Is the roof line changing height-wise?
No, the variation is the front elevation by retaining the current pitch on the existing gable, reduce the number of roof lights and changing the hip dormer, meaning the bay window to increase the living room space. Okay. So the roof height isn't changing.
Great, thank you.
In that case, can I have a show of hands in support of the application, please? Thank you.
Being carried. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Let's whiz over to Herentide for DM 202204. This is 9 Coronation Road. This is side infill extension and the dormer infill extension, including roof lights. So let me run through the plans very quickly for you. So this shows its position on Coronation Road here, shows its existing elevations, and here shows changes, maybe around here. And I believe, that's not the right one, is it? That's I'm sorry, forgive me. So Councillor Odie, would you like to start us off, please?
Thanks, Chair. Can I ask, were there any objections to this?
No. No.
No, okay. On those plans, I think they're utilising that space quite well, actually. And I know that there's a number of other properties have had similar extensions put on. So from what I've seen on those plans, I would vote for approval.
Can I have a second, please? Councillor Woodgate. Any other questions on this at all? No? Can I have a show of hands in support of the application, please? Then?
That's been carried, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, last application tonight, committee, is DM 202239. This is 11 Hermitage Road. This is first floor front extension over existing ground floor. So just zoom in here for you. So you can see the position of the property here. And we've got pretty good 3D render here that shows quite nicely how the front change proposed to take place, squaring off the property effectively. I will just show you the other plans as well. show it in filling here. This is Baldwin's. Who would like to start me on this one?
It's me from Baldwin's. Yeah, I think this is a really nice extension. It's a really nice use of space. It's going to create an upstairs bathroom, which is always good to have, which these houses don't currently have in any of them, as far as I'm aware, unless they've been extended. It's really tasteful. The only additional windows are the Velux, which would look up to the sky, and I believe there's another small window which would be a frosted window because it will be for the new upstairs bathroom. So I don't feel there'd be any problems with this. There's no objections on the portal, so I'm happy to propose this for approval.
Thank you. Could I have a second for this? Okay, go in there. Thank you. Any questions on this one at all? In that case, could I have a show of hands in support of the application, please?
Yeah, that's been carried. Thank you.
Thank you. I think got 2 applications tonight. I think we can say as a committee how useful it is to see the 3D renders on the applications. They really do, with one technology, make it a lot easier to see what's going on, don't they, than some of the drawings. So thank you very much, committee. We are going to end the meeting straight after I close the meeting tonight. So I will remind you that the next meeting is on Monday, the 3rd of August, and I shall close the meeting tonight at 8:27. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Thank you.